10 lessons for a world that claps too loud. We live in a world that claps too loud. Everywhere you look, there's noise. Arguments, headlines, opinions, distractions. Koans cut through that noise. A koan is a short, puzzling statement or question from Zen tradition that doesn't have a straightforward answer. It's designed to break the normal way the mind thinks. So instead of solving it with logic, you stop and see reality more directly. That's why we're exploring these 10. Each one is like a doorway out of the usual patterns of thought. They don't teach by explanation, they teach by breaking habits. And when you apply them in real-world moments, in coffee shops, grocery stores, waiting rooms, airplanes, you discover they aren't riddles at all. They're reminders that truth is already here, quieter and closer than we think. Koan 1. 2 hands clap and there is a sound. What is the sound of one hand? What it's teaching? Most of what we call life depends on collision. Me against you, idea against idea. This koan teaches that truth doesn't need conflict to verify itself. Wholeness stands on its own with no opponent required. The sound of one hand is what remains when opposition never arrives. Real-world example. You're in a coffee shop and someone tries to drag you into a heated debate about politics. Normally 2 hands are ready to clap. But if you don't react, there's no sound, no fight, just peace with your latte. Koan 2. If you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. What it's teaching. The koan warns against mistaking symbols, teachers, or methods for awakening itself. Clinging to an image of enlightenment blocks the real thing. Liberation doesn't live in the form of a guru, book, or statue. It lives in direct recognition. Real-world example. You're in a bookstore and hear someone quoting a self-help guru like scripture. The koan reminds you not to worship the personality. Take the insight, but let the idol go. Koan 3. What was your face before your parents were born? What it's teaching. This isn't about ancestry. It's about essence. Your true identity isn't your biography or the story tied to a family tree. The koan points you back to what you are before labels, roles, and time. Real-world example. You're sitting in a hospital waiting room, stripped of your usual routines. Job, family roles, all of it feels far away. In that stillness, the koan asks, what's left when there's no story to lean on? That's your real face. Koan 4. Does a dog have Buddha nature? What it's teaching. It cuts through the idea that worth has to be earned. Buddha nature, wholeness, holiness, is already present in everything, even in what the mind overlooks. Real-world example. You're in the grocery store and see a worker mopping the floor while everyone hurries past. The koan whispers, the same light is in them as in a monk in robes. Respect is not optional. Koan 5. Where does thought go when it is not thinking? What it's teaching. Thoughts come and go, but they don't explain the ground they rise from. The koan points you to the silent space that doesn't vanish when thought stops. That silence is the true constant. Real-world example. You're driving and suddenly realize you've gone 3 blocks without a single thought. That gap wasn't empty. It was presence, and the koan says, notice that. Koan 6. Who hears the sound of silence? What it's teaching. Awareness is both the hearer and the heard. Silence doesn't need an observer. It is the observer. The koan turns attention back on itself. Real-world example. You're on an airplane, engines humming, then it levels out. Suddenly the hum feels like silence. Who hears that? The koan says, what's listening is the same as what's heard. Koan 7. If a tree falls in the forest with no one to hear it, does it make a sound? What it's teaching. Sound only exists with perception. The world isn't separate from the mind that perceives it. Reality is a joint project. Real-world example. You open social media and see drama exploding. Then you realize, if you hadn't logged in, it wouldn't exist for you at all. That's the fallen tree with no ear, Koan 8, which is heavier, a kilogram of gold or a kilogram of air. What it's teaching. The koan exposes how easily the mind confuses value with weight. Market worth blinds us to what's truly vital. Real-world example. You're in the emergency room. Gold jewelry might glitter, but oxygen is the only thing that matters. Koan 9. Can the mirror see itself? What it's teaching. A mirror can reflect everything but itself. The koan reveals how the self cannot be fully known by reflection, only by direct recognition. Real-world example. You're scrolling through selfies and likes, waiting for identity to bounce back at you. But the mirror can't see itself. The koan says, you won't find yourself in the glass. Koan 10. When pointing a finger at another, how many point back? What it's teaching. Every accusation is a projection. The koan makes you face how judgment reveals the accuser more than the accused. Real-world example. You're sitting in traffic blasting the horn at the driver who cut you off. Then you notice the 3 fingers curled back toward you on the wheel. That's the koan showing you the real culprit. Air carries more weight than treasure in that moment. 10 lessons for a world that claps too loud. Each one a riddle that isn't solved by answers, but by undoing the need for them. You can find them in coffee shops, in waiting rooms, on airplanes, in traffic. You can hear them in the silence between arguments or in the breath before the horn. They don't tell you what to believe. They show you how to see. The sound of one hand, the face before parents, the finger that points back. All of them are the same door. A door not into mystery, but out of illusion. Step through and the noise is gone. What remains is what was always here. You are already home, in the twilight zone.